Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
Having a conversation with a really good friend of mine the other night. We were on the phone probably a half an hour, just catching up, touching base on what's happening in his quarantine life and what's going on in mine. Now, the guy I'm talking about, he used to be a guy who used to get up like 3:30 in the morning to go work out for an hour or two, start his day, and he's a heavy equipment. I mentioned him before on this podcast. He's a heavy equipment salesperson, sells big machinery to businesses, and had a chance to cross paths with him a long time ago in the retail automotive industry. So we spent some time together. We became friends. He's turned me on to Jocko, turned me on to Kyle Carpenter, turned me on to Joe Rogan's podcast, actually. He's a guy who just lives life. He's the No Comfort Zone guy, really. He just is a good guy all the way around. And we had a great conversation catching up on things. Turns out one of his family members who's in Special Forces came down with COVID-19 out in Washington. And he was kind of giving me a rundown of what that's going to. And I was saying, you know, when this happens, you can have all your opinions in the world. You can have, like, I thought it was the flu in the beginning. I mentioned that on the podcast. Then I mentioned, you know, it's kind of for everyone else's concern, we should probably take these measures, you know, and follow what they're saying. And then they shut stuff down. And, you know, I agreed with it 100%. Now I'm disagreeing with it again. But as soon as you have a family member or somebody close to you get sick from this, it's a different ballgame. So what do I know, right? I just know that for the time being, I'm healthy, my family's healthy, and people at the dealerships are healthy. And that's really what I care about most, because if we're all healthy and we're doing what we're supposed to do, that means we're not going to get it, hopefully, and that means we're not going to pass it in case somebody did have it, if you know what I mean. So when we were catching up, it was a lot of good conversation going back and forth about, you know, what's the new routine. And I talked about it before on this, about having a routine. I'm telling you now, if you find yourself to be a little depressed, a little anxious, a little, you know, fear of the unknown, fear of tomorrow, uncertainty, or just not comfortable in your own skin, I'm telling you, you got to find a schedule that's going to work for you. Put together a schedule. I have, like, my first 3 hours of the day, those are mine. I own those. And that helps me start the rest of my day. When it really involves everybody else, it gets my mind right and ready for everyone else to serve. But those 3 hours, you know, I need desperately in the morning. And if I don't get them, I just want to let you know, if I don't get those 3 hours, like I mentioned previously, what I end up doing is I adjust it. So my AM schedule could become my PM schedule. Now, the hard part is then to do my AM schedule after I do it in the PM. I know it doesn't make any sense, and that's not really what the podcast is about. It's about staying focused on your happiness. And sometimes that's going to mean you won't find happiness without self-discipline. You got to have self-discipline. And I would say the structure or the backbone behind the blueprint and the magical experience I had for those 60 days when I went through the No Comfort Zone, which was really tough, by the way, but it was the discipline and the courage to get up every day and say, okay, I'm going to do this today because I don't want tomorrow. I don't want my tomorrow to be like yesterday. I want it to be better. What do they say in Bud's training is the only good day was yesterday? So, and I've never been in the Navy SEALs. I just heard him say it, so I don't want to mislead anybody there. So when we're talking about this, COVID and everything, I mentioned, some people are getting a little squirrely and there's some bad apples out there. Some things happened. Home invasion happened. That was terrible. As it turns out, I know the guy. Then we went down. Don't you know another guy who went to jail for, he allegedly, he's still not convicted of it, allegedly raped somebody and beat him pretty bad. So I used to work with that person. And then there's another guy who actually ended up robbing a bank. And it was the same bank that he banked at. And he's a pretty inconspicuous fella. And he put on a hat and sunglasses and thought nobody recognized him. I don't know. It's almost like he wanted to get caught. So I've got a home invasion guy that's going to be tried for murder that I've ran paths with before in my life. I also have a guy who's allegedly raped somebody and beat somebody up pretty bad. And then I have a bank robber, all of course felony convictions. They aren't personal friends of mine, I would say, but I would say that I've crossed paths with them and working relationships with them. And I'm wondering to myself, man, that's a lot. Then I asked my friend on the phone, what do you think about all this going on, about some of the badness? And he's like, there's a lot of good out there. And I go, don't you find it crazy that I know a few bad people that did bad things? Maybe they're good people. I don't know. I think they're bad people right now. And they got to have their reckoning before they can become a better person. But I think there's no doubt when you do those bad things, you're a bad person. So don't misunderstand that either. But what I'm trying to tell you is that I had like the epiphany is like, you know, a certain number of people. And if none of the people you know are at a level of greatness for how they serve humanity or what they do for society, if you don't know anybody like that in your circle, I don't know. I just realized that maybe it's supposed to be you. Maybe you're the person that your group of people is looking for to be that next popular, almost famous, very caring and giving person that's going to help people. Maybe that's something that you could, focus on. Maybe that's what we need to do in this time is reinvent ourselves so that we can become that person. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And I know the Blueprint will help you with that. Because if you're facing a time where there's a little bit of emotional uncertainty, and that emotional uncertainty has got you, feeling and doing a certain way and doing certain things, well, my hope is that you find a way to become a better version of yourself by literally working your tail off. And I'm just driving by and I just saw a car flipped over on one of these farm roads. Looks like everyone's okay. Isn't that crazy? Podcasting from my car. Totally distracted. But it looks like he's okay. But that's crazy. The car flipped over and drove right past it like nothing's happening. But people are helping him out. So maybe it's the time for you to say, okay, during this self-quarantine, during this downtime, what are you really doing to become a better version of yourself? My buddy Todd was painting his house. He's working on something. He's changed his workout schedule due to the gyms being closed. I myself have spent a little bit more time writing. I'm stressed more than I've ever been. Don't even know why. Yesterday I got home from work and I had to put, no kidding, a heating pad, right? Little old lady stuff, heating pad on my shoulders just because they were so tight and felt like they were going to crack in half, Anyway, the stress is there because I'm trying to make sure that my place is operational and make sure that everyone's going the right direction. And it's not easy to do. Today, it's not an easy day to be in business, I'll tell you that. And then coming home, my wife's out of work. Her wildly successful salon is shut down and she can't live in her passion right now. She's taking classes online, which is awesome to see. She's doing Zoom calls with clients. And I'll just tell you this, hairdressers, are they essential? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't realize how many people are actually coloring their hair and how much they need their stylist. Wow. Thank God for stylists. I'll tell you that. Makes the world a better place. Yeah, I'm objectifying this and I'm sorry, but my wife's a hairdresser. But really, I want to talk to you about that. Is it that time in your life for you to reach deep and go for those goals that we talk about? And I don't use the term loosely. What the F do you want out of your life? Because now's a great time to get to that point where you can say, yeah, okay, I'm going to focus on this part of my life. So I'm working on the book. I'm working on the podcast. I'm working on the Blueprint. There's a pretty good thing I got going on. I'm lining up some interviews that I'm pretty excited to do for the podcast to help get the word out. But truth be told is I'm not doing that much different than I normally do. And maybe it's a time for me to step up my game. Maybe it's time for me to go through another no comfort zone. And I could find every excuse in the world, folks. I could find out, that my routine's completely off because of work. I can tell you that because everyone's quarantined in the house and there's not a lot of space. I could tell you that my knee's completely blown out and it's challenging me every day mentally and emotionally because it's getting stiffer and stiffer. So I could say all those things, but maybe it's that time, huh? So let me know. This is, today is, I think it's the April 15th tax time, which has been extended, but April 15th, 2020. Let me know if you want to do a joint. I'll do it with you. We'll go through the no comfort zone together. If I can get a few people together, accountability partners, I'll do it with you. We'll do it a beta. You can jump on. It's not going to cost you anything. And the only thing I would ask is when you get through it and your life changes magically and you're happier, what I'd like to do is have you give me a great review and say it works. done it for other people and it'll work for you. So, hey, if you're interested, hit me up. If you listen to this podcast, Dan at the No Comfort Zone, hit me up. I want in. I'll keep it open. Let's do this. I'll start it May 1st. How do you like that? I'm committing to something right now. So May 1st, we'll start a No Comfort Zone, which means you're going to have to know the blueprint and we're going to have to get your pre-work done before we actually go enter into the No Comfort Zone. Man, that'll be exciting. So May 1st, who knows? We could be out of quarantine. Life could be getting back to somewhat normal. You could take the first step in the right direction towards changing your lives forever. That might be pretty cool. That might be something worthwhile. And hey, either way, what I want you to do is I want you to stay safe, stay healthy, learn something new today, apply it, and start living your life on purpose. But more importantly, stop doing what you've been doing all this time. Get out of your comfort zone and start living on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at No Comfort Zone 1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.